Hello, everybody, and welcome to Umbry and Espy's Spooky Hour. I am your host, Espy, and joining me is...
Umbry, your other host.
the hostest with the mostest.
Isn't hostess female? And last I checked, we're both manly men of
Shut
manly stature.
Shut up. Tonight, on the first episode, we're talking about haunted forests and what resides in them. Ooh.
And tonight, you will find out that it's not just lions, tigers, and bears that resides in the forest.
All right. So as we told you at the beginning of the episode, my name is Espy, Luis Espy Hernandez, and I'm joined with my friend Art from Florida. So if you hear a difference in quality of our sounds, it's because he's a million miles away while I'm in sunny California. That also sucks.
Yeah, both of our states suck.
Yeah, they do. Today we're talking about haunted forests, and it's the first episode. So Art, I really want to know what fascinates you about the paranormal. What got you interested in this topic?
Well, to be quite frank, I have had a lot of paranormal experiences growing up. But I was born in Michigan. I've had some experiences up in Michigan, as well as some experiences back down here in Florida. And I do live in St. Augustine, which is the third most haunted city in the continental United States. And I'm actually within driving distance between New Orleans, which is the second most haunted city, and Savannah, Georgia, which is the most haunted city in the continental United States.
Oh, okay. So what's the most, I'd say, scariest experience that you've ever, had?
Ooh. The most scariest one, which actually took place in a forest, which is unfortunately not one of the forests that we're going to be talking about tonight. Yeah. But let's see. It was a location called Hell's Bridge, and the story goes that this old guy used to take kids back there and, murder them. So one night the parents follow the old guy, and they catch the old guy, and, mob, lynch, they go to kill him. Whole time the guy's screaming, I didn't kill the kids, devil made me do it, whatnot. Try and get out of it. So they hang him, and they hang him in a tree overlooking the creek or the river that's there. For no reason, the rope snaps, the guy's body falls in the water, and it just washes away. They never recovered it. There's been a lot of creepy shit that's happened there. And there's some creepy shit that's happened to me there personally. The last time I was there is actually where the weird shit happened. They say if you go there at midnight, some really freaky stuff happens. It was, when I went, it just felt really foreboding, like someone didn't want you there, and just feelings of sadness, regret, anger, just, yeah. Anyway, so I swore I heard like a human moaning coming from the bushes.
I knew it. Horniness was part of it.
But no. It might have been. But yeah, no. And then we were there for like 5-10 minutes after midnight, and we left because it got really weird. My uncle was with me, and he swears he saw shadows following us back to the car. And so we get back to the car, and my aunt and uncle, my aunt was also there, they're kind of religious, and so they decided that they wanted to say the Lord's Prayer.
Right. I'm
like, all right, whatever, fine, if it'll help them. As they're saying the Lord's Prayer, I didn't say it. I felt like this. Yeah, someone put a hot coal or a hot grain of sand in my throat, and it just started burning.
Oh God.
Yeah. So then we went home. I stayed up for a little bit, and then I went to bed. I had a really weird, vibrant dream. And the dream was me, my aunt, my uncle, and we were driving down this twisting dirt road.
Right.
in a forest. And so I woke up, I got really sick, and then I don't know. It was a really weird experience, really weird, freaky experience for me. I still don't know if I was under partial possession or if something had attached itself to me and followed me home and caused me to be sick and had that weird dream.
Or you probably needed a Snickers.
What?
All right. Wow, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I guess I should share mine in that case. Yeah, basically, yeah, same here. I've had multiple paranormal experiences that nowadays I could probably explain to something else. But there's just some stuff that I can't really explain. For instance, I've had an encounter with a doppelganger that I can't really explain.
Oh.
So the story is that I was taking AP Spanish in high school, and we were supposed to take a practice test for the AP test.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher, he had us come in on a Saturday. So I got there a little early, so I went up to the classroom and decided to just chill. And as I'm walking in, I look to my right and I see my friend Juan, and he's messing with some recorders. I guess he's like rewinding the tape in them because we're going to use the recorders for the test. And I say, "Hey, Juan, what's up?" He looks up at me and he just waves. Doesn't say anything, which is a little like out of character. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Didn't think too much of it. I sat down, didn't think anything of it at all, really, until I was finished doing my test, and so were the people on my table. And I asked, "Hey, where's Juan? He usually sits with us because he's part of our group." And one of my friends, Carlos, was like, "Yeah, I saw him this morning." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And then a girl that he was very good friends with that was sitting behind us chimes in, and she's like, No, Juan he didn't come in today." And we're like, "Wait, what do you mean he didn't come in today?" "Yeah, he texted me this morning that he didn't come in." And I'm like, "Wait, but I saw him. And not only did I see him, I said, 'Hey, Juan, what's up?' And he looked at me and he waved." So if I had mistaken somebody else for them, they probably would have corrected me, right? This person didn't say a thing. So come Monday, I track him down. I look him in the eye and I'm like, "Yo, you came in on Saturday, didn't you? But you left early." And he insisted and insisted and insisted and still insists to this day that wasn't him. He said that he didn't come in. And I told him, "You were wearing a red shirt and blue jeans." And he's like, "I don't even own a red shirt." And I was like, "Oh, you're bullshitting me. There's no way. There is no fucking way." So, as we're walking into the classroom, back into our AP Spanish class, the teacher stops us at the door, and he tells Juan, "Hey, sorry man, but I lost your test." And Juan goes, "I didn't take the test. I wasn't here." And the teacher's like, "Wait, but I saw you." And, yeah, pretty much cemented the fact that I saw him. That was unexplainable. I can't explain it to this day. I clearly saw him. Multiple people saw him, yet he claims he wasn't there. And the one thing that tells me that he's not lying, because obviously he could simply lie, correct?
Right, yeah.
The one thing that tells me that he wasn't lying was the fact that he could have easily said, "Hey, oh yeah, it's okay. I could just retake the test," or something like that. But he claimed that, he didn't he didn't take the test in the first place. Yeah.
Oh shit. It's funny that you mentioned a doppelganger story.
Right.
Because my sisters have claimed that they've seen my doppelganger.
It's probably some guy that looked like you.
I know there's a lot of people that look like me, but no, this is.
If you want to see a guy that looks like Art, you should watch. What's that show called? Fuck. Never mind.
Okay, no. Sorry. Let me tell you this story real quick before we
go on a tangent on doppelgangers. Okay, go ahead. Hurry.
Yeah, a little subsection of doppelgangers. Anyway, this happened. Maybe when I was about 8 or so.
Right.
And so my sisters, they had bedwetting troubles until their early teen years.
Uh-huh.
So they had to, if they to train themselves to not wet the bed, they would have to get up in the night, and they were young kids. They were afraid of the dark and whatnot. They'd always have to go wake my mom up to stand outside the door or whatnot until they went to the bathroom. And so this happened one night, and both of them had to go up and use the restroom. So they got my mom. My sisters went to the bathroom, and then my mom had to use the restroom. So my sister stood outside the door waiting for her to get done. Anyway, they were looking down the hall, and in this old house, you'd have the hall where all the bedrooms were. You'd have the dining room, and then from the dining room, you'd either go to the kitchen or into the living room.
Right.
And so they were looking down the hall, and they saw someone poke their head out and look down the hall, and they swear to God that it was my face, it was my head, and I was glaring at them, like just full on hatred, glaring daggers at them. And so they got a little spooked, and they asked my mom. They're like, "Oh, where's Artie? Is he sleeping?" Because I actually had friends over for the night, and so my mom could reassure them that I was in bed. They opened the door, and we were all sleeping. None of us had moved.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they still to this day claim that they had seen me glaring daggers at them from the living room.
Well, if I saw you glaring daggers at me, I would be pretty scared too, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of scary when I'm angry.
Yeah. All right. So now that we
all right.
dwelled,
now that we're done talking about the spooky doppelgangers, we can actually make that a topic for another show.
Yeah.
Let's get down to it.
All right. So who's going first?
Espy, would you like to go first?
Sure. My first spooky haunted forest story is the Jersey Devil and the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. New Jersey doesn't just have Wawa, it has the Jersey Devil as well.
Oh, speaking of Wawa, Jacksonville is getting a Wawa soon. I'm pretty hyped about that.
You fucking lucky bastard. Anyway, let's start with the legend of the Jersey Devil. Legend has it that in 1735, the Pines resident known as Mother Leeds found herself pregnant for the 13th time. Mother Leeds was not living a wealthy lifestyle by any means. Her husband was a drunkard who made few efforts to provide for his wife and 12 children. Reaching the point of absolute exasperation upon learning of her 13th child, she raised her hands to the heavens and proclaimed, "Let this one be a devil." Mother Leeds went into labor a few months later, on a particularly stormy night, no longer mindful of the curse she had uttered previously regarding her unborn child. Her children and husband huddled together in one room of their Leeds Point home while local midwives gathered to deliver the baby in another. By all accounts, the birth went routinely, and the 13th Leeds child was a seemingly normal baby boy. Within minutes, however, Mother Leeds' unholy wish of months before began to come to fruition. The baby started to change, and metaphors right before her very eyes. Within moments, it transformed from a beautiful newborn baby into a hideous creature unlike anything the world has ever seen. The wailing infant began growling at an incredible rate. It sprouted horns from the top of its head, and talon-like claws tore through the tip of its fingers. Leathery bat-like wings unfurled from its back, and hair and feathers sprouted all over the child's body. Its eyes began to glow bright as red as they grew larger in the monster's gnarled and snarling face. The creature savagely attacked its own mother, killing her, then turned its attention to the rest of the horrified onlookers who witnessed its tempestuous transformation. The monster then knocked down the door to the next room where its own father and siblings cowered in fear and attacked them all, killing as many as it could. Those who survived to tell the tale then watched in horror as the rotten beast sprinted away to the chimney and flew up it, destroying it on the way and leaving a pile of rubble in its wake. The creature then made good its escape into the darkness and desolation in the Pine Barrens, where it has lived ever since. To this day, the creature known varyingly as the Leeds Devil and the Jersey Devil claims the pines as its own, and terrorizes any who are unfortunate enough to encounter it. And that's from weirdnewjersey.com, by the way. I didn't write that. So yeah, the Pine Barrens. Huge plot of fucking land in New Jersey. Just trees upon trees upon trees upon trees where pretty much anything can hide. And if you haven't seen what the Jersey Devil looks like, it kind of looks like a horse. Kind of looks like a capybara head with wings.
I kind of want to know what the hell his mother was smoking or ingesting, because that is some weird ass birth defect.
That is some very weird. That's like fetal alcohol syndrome times Kaioken 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. Actually, one artist's rendition looks cool. It looks like a freaking dragon.
Yeah, some people have said it looks like a dragon. Other people have said it just looks like a horse. It's got hooves and everything. It's weird.
Yeah, I think I prefer the dragon one.
So there's a reason that I chose the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. There's this show that came out on NBC called, and ABC, I think I said NBC, that was called Scariest Places on Earth, where one episode they went out into the forest to look for it. And I believe one scene, which I think I've seen, and it's very, very fake. One of the kids that's in their group looking for it just looks up into the trees and they see a figure and it looks fucking scary. And I'd like to think that from that day on that I learned that I love to be scared. Oh man, I don't know. I love the feeling of being scared. I love horror. I love fucking Halloween. It's just that gut feeling that you get when you just don't know what's around you, what's in the dark, what's looking at you, what might be even smelling you. It's all great.
Yeah, it is pretty great. I think we all love to be scared every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
some people
humans are weird, man.
Yeah, some people like roller coasters. I like going into dark woodlands at night and just, being scared that way. It's a thrill, man. It's a thrill.
Oh, I gotta say that was a little creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, no! Imagine that. Imagine going out into like the wilderness just to camp out and finding a horse head dragon guy thing attacking you, or worse, attacking your dog, Scruffy. R.I.P. Scruffy.
Bruh, if he was attacking Scruffy, I'd fight it. I don't care. I'd beat the crap out of it.
Fight me, IRL. Jersey
Fight
Devil.
me right now, Jersey Devil, you little punk ass bitch.
Say that to my face and not over the internet, Jersey Devil. See what happens.
Yeah, Jersey Devil, if you're listening, you're a punk bitch. I can take you on. I'll drop kick you.
Alright, so there's my haunted part of New Jersey, being haunted by a 13th child of Miss Leeds or Mother Leeds or whatever.
Sounds like my ex.
Yep. Probably was your ex, huh?
Oh, shit.
All right, what you got for me?
All right. Well, one of the two forests I'm going to be talking about today. First one, actually, a lot of people might know of. It's actually a rather famous bit of land. It's called the Hoiabaciu Forest. It's located in Romania.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This covers about over 250 hectares and is often referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of the country. Now, this Hoiabaciu Forest has a lot of freaky shit that happens within it. It has a reputation for this. Everything from ghost sightings, apparitions, weird feelings, even UFO sightings.
Oh, no.
UFO sightings. Now, ghosts and UFOs, that's like the best of two worlds in the paranormal just coming together. And that is definitely attracting me. This forest has actually been featured on Ghost Adventures. I actually just watched the episode recently, which is why I chose which is why I chose this location to talk about tonight. Basically, what put the Hoiabaciu Forest on the map was back in 1968. A biologist by the name of Alexander Sift took a few pictures of a flying disc object. I'm sorry, this wasn't in 1968. This just happened in the 1960s. In August 18th, 1968, a military technician by the name of Emil Barnera took a very famous photograph of a saucer flying over the Hoiabaciu Forest. And then for the next decade or so, it became a hotbed for UFO sightings and unexplained lights. Now, people enter the forest. They experience everything from nausea, dizziness. They get inexplicable rashes. They feel lightheaded, and they get very sick. Now, most of the symptoms they exhibit: nausea, vomiting, migraines, scratches, anxiety, all that fun stuff. Those are also symptoms of radiation poisoning.
Right.
This would be something if you walked into
Chernobyl.
Well, not Chernobyl. You'd probably die.
Yeah, probably.
That's still pretty radioactive.
It's if you walk into a puddle.
I don't know. You walk into just something that's been doused in radiation, but not a lethal dose of radiation. These are symptoms of radiation poisoning, and it is widely believed that UFOs do give off a rather large amount of radiation.
Correct.
Which is, you look at people who have been claimed to have been abducted by UFOs or encountered UFOs. They have strange burn marks all over them, and they exhibit symptoms and signs of radiation poisoning. It just goes back to that.
Right.
Now, I've been focusing too much on our extraterrestrial friends here.
Right.
The Hoiabaciu Forest is also a hotbed for ghostly sightings and apparitions. I believe that it was at one point host to, I don't want to say a Satanist cult, but it has seen some pretty freaky shit over the years. All right. There have been lots of stories of people just going to the forest and they experience missing time, and some of them have been missing for quite an amount of time with no recollection of what they did while they were in there.
Do you know if they aged at all?
Yeah, they have aged, but they don't remember.
Huh.
Anyway, the one such story is, this 5-year-old girl, she lived by the forest. She played in the forest, wandered in the forest and whatnot. Anyway, she goes into the forest and she vanishes. And, got lost, whatnot. Mm-hmm. And, family, neighbors, they're searching for her. They can't find her. So, they give up. They assume maybe a pack of wolves got her, and they can't find the body. A bear. 5 years later, she emerges from the forest wearing the same exact clothing she wore the day she disappeared, and she has no idea what happened to her within those 5 years. But she was never the same after that. She just stared off into the space, and she wasn't normal. Yeah. She wasn't herself.
Damn, that's freaky.
Yeah. The paranormal stuff that's been happening here has been recorded and researched for about 50 years. It's supposedly haunted by Romanian peasants who were murdered there. It's believed to be the souls of those tormented ghosts, and they believe they're trapped within the wooden confines of the Hoiabaciu Forest. Another thing I like to talk about in the Hoiabaciu Forest. In the middle of the forest, there is a circle where nothing grows, no vegetation, nothing.
I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that all the trees that grow around that circle will actually grow outwards and away from that circle. If you look up the images on Google,
I'm seeing them right now.
Yeah, they are literally just like curved, like they're growing away from the circle. It is strange.
Sounds like my experiences in high school.
Anyway, there have been reports of haunting, observing green eyes and heavy black fog. Just following people. There have been reports of people feeling like they're being watched or being followed. There's lots of stuff. Mysterious orbs of light. There have been people being scratched and disembodied female voices heard giggling.
And bitching at them, too.
Maybe that too. I know if they're bitching, I really don't need to go there. I get enough of that at home.
Sexism.
Anyway, yeah, this forest is just freaky, and it's just it's actually on my bucket list of places to visit.
Well, when you go, I'll join
before I go. I could just go on and on and on about the Hoiabaciu Forest. There's just so much crap that happens here. It's just we could probably do an entire episode solely focused on the Hoiabaciu Forest, and I don't think we could cover everything.
Yikes. So
I believe I'm just gonna end my story here because I could go on. There's just a lot, everything from ghostly activity, poltergeist activity, UFO sightings and activity, possible interdimensional travel. This place is just a nirvana for paranormal investigators.
That is definitely somewhere where we should visit.
Oh yeah,
document everything we do. And Art, I need you to promise me something.
What's that?
If I get lost in a portal through time and I end up coming out 5 years later, I need you, within the span of maybe a year of me being gone, I need you to go through all my devices and just delete all my history.
Will do. Don't worry, I got you back, fam.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of which, so you've gone through your story. I guess it's my turn for my next haunted forest. I decided to choose the topic of one of my favorite countries, Japan, and I decided to talk about Aokigahara, Japan's suicide forest. And I know most people have heard of this forest, especially those who have seen the Vice documentary on it, which I actually watched today, just to, get the feeling towards it. Before I start naming why it's so scary, other than the fact that it's a suicide forest, I just want to say this. I've seen videos of people going in regularly. I've seen the Vice documentary, and that place is so beautiful. It is just so green and serene, and even camera microphones, all they pick up is just the sounds of nature, nothing else. And even in places where I go here in California with nature, it's never anything like that. There's always a highway near. You could always hear the noise of the city of Los Angeles. And
I've heard Akigahira's forest is so dense that
it's so easy to get lost.
Outside noise cannot penetrate it. Even if you yell and scream, no one can hear you scream from within the forest. Which, to me, that's just creepy.
Well, that's where the name comes from. It stands for the Sea of Trees. So, let's get started with it.
Fitting name for it.
Yeah. Aokigahara, also known as Japan's suicide forest, or in other words, the perfect place to die, is a very popular and hauntingly beautiful place to visit, and also to commit suicide. It's gotten so bad that there are signs in the entranceways to discourage suicide. And one of them reads, "Your life is a precious gift from your parents. Please think about your parents, siblings, and children. You don't have to die alone." The forest is also known as the Sea of Trees because it's so dense. You can get completely lost. And people are known to get to make trails of tape so they don't get lost. And the real bad part about it is sometimes if you follow the tape, you end up finding a dead body. The most popular way of committing suicide in the forest is by hanging, and the second would be overdose. Now, you're probably asking yourself why people come and commit suicide to this particular forest. It's speculated that after the novel Kuroi Jakai was released in Japan in 1960, in which a young lover commits suicide in the forest, it became a romanticized spot for suicide. But the suicides have predated 1960, so it might not even be the book. Now, what does this have to do with the paranormal? Well, there's a paranormal spin on this story, but it isn't a cause to the suicides, it's a consequence. Aokigahara has been associated with death and evil spirits even before it became a popular place for suicide. As the old Japanese tradition of Ubasute, I'm sorry if I butchered that, was said to have been practiced where the elderly and the sick were carried into the forest and left to die. Their angry spirits, called yurei, haunt the forests, encouraging the suicidal people who enter to go through with their terrible urge to die. The Japanese people believe that if a person dies of an unnatural or violent death, such as suicide, the spirit will turn into a yurei. If a body is not properly buried, or if a person dies with strong negative feelings such as depression or rage, then the spirit will turn into yurei. And as you can imagine, by that logic, there are tons of angry spirits in this forest.
I've also heard that there are rumors of a Buddhist monk living within the forest to urge people to not commit suicide. I actually read a story where a young couple, a foreign couple, actually went into the forest, got lost, and were directed out by a Buddhist monk.
That's weird. Buddhist monks are not... Huh. I haven't heard anything about that. I know there's certain people that are tasked to actually go in there and they're on suicide watch to try to prevent people from committing suicide, but that's the extent of what I've heard of that.
I've heard about that, but when the foreigners told them about what they had encountered, I believe that was not a yurei. It was another spirit. It might have been a yurei. It might have been. But it wasn't wearing white like yurei are typically supposed to. It was wearing the orange robes of a Buddhist monk.
That's scary. So this couple just got lost. They weren't trying to attempt suicide?
Yeah, they just got lost. They weren't trying to attempt suicide.
Yeah. Well, what a dark, heavy place. Suicide is not the answer, you guys. If you're feeling sad or depressed, please, I urge you to call the suicide hotline, which Art will bring up right now.
You want me to tell them the suicide hotline number?
Yes, please.
Alright, let me pull it up.
It is 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. Please, guys. Suicide isn't the answer.
And they're available 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Yeah, and they speak both English and Spanish.
I will say that I have suffered from suicide tendencies in my life. I never called the hotline, but I did find reason to keep on living. Believe me when I say this, guys. It's always darkest before the dawn. It's gonna get better.
It will get better.
You just have to keep going.
It always does. Anyway, so you got our last story?
Yes, I do. And this one is also across the pond. I don't think we talked about any American forests.
Fuck America. Go ahead.
Actually, I do have one special mention, which I'll talk about, and actually is an American forest.
Right.
Anyway, this next forest is called the Epping Forest, or the Epping Forest, and it's in England.
So it wasn't even in America. Okay.
Yeah. It's about 12 miles from the Manor Park in the east of London, which is just north of Epping in Essex.
Right.
Well, this forest has seen a lot. It's actually reported to have been home to humans about somewhere in the BC, maybe about 8,000 BC, 800 BC, probably 800 BC.
Yikes, that's old.
So yeah, people have been it's been home to people for just about the time we started walking. And there's been a lot of crap that's been happening there. It's been a refuge for people escaping the plague and the bombing of London during the Second World War.
Right.
Much of its history and folklore has been lost over the tides of time, as most stories tend to go. But the stories that did survive, they reveal a much darker and unpleasant side of this beautiful forest. It's rumored that there were satanic rites at the Church of the Innocents at High Beach, and there was a failed case of alleged satanic human sacrifice in 1991. Anyway, this forest has been connected with royalty. The forest is first mentioned in connection with royalty at about the 12th century, when an edict by Henry III allowed commoners to gather wood, foodstuffs, grave livestock, and, kill pigs for meat. But only the king, he was the only one allowed to hunt. In about 1543, it was believed that Henry VIII commissioned the building of structure in Chingford known as the Great Standing, which enabled the king and courtiers to watch the chase. The timber frame building was removed in about 1589, and its name was changed to the Queen Elizabeth Hunting Lodge. Although it's still up for debate on whether or not she actually visited the lodge. In the 19th century, local landowners requested to enclosure about 550 hectares of land. It ignited mass protests, led by Thomas Willingale to fight to protect commoners' rights, including lopping firewood and grazing cattle. It was successful and resulted in the passing of the Epping Forest Act of 1878. In 1882, after 7 centuries of royal patronage, Queen Victoria declared the forest to be the People's Forest, and control passed in the hands of the City of London Corporation, where it remains to this day. But of course, royalty was not the only one. It was not the only, royalty wasn't the only ones attracted to this forest. This forest was actually home and hideout to a rather famous highwayman by the name of Dick Turpin. But of course, fact and fiction has been kind of merged with the passing of time, so we don't really know which is fact and which is just fiction. So we don't even know if Dick Turpin actually existed. But stories about his early life vary, but one accepted version is that Richard Turpin moved to Bucket Hill in 1725 with his wife Elizabeth to open up a butcher shop. Somehow he had become involved with deer thieves known as the Essex Gang, led by Samuel Gregory. Turpin probably disposed of the deer meat, as the butcher's shop would have been a perfect cover. But after a number of the gang were caught, the remaining members along with Turpin took to robbing isolated farmhouses, torturing the female occupants if they refused to cooperate. Ooh, man.
That's some pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, these guys were jerks. They were assholes. They were fucked up.
They were fuck boys.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
They were fucked up. They were assholes. Now here, this forest does have its share of paranormal activity, not just the dark and unpleasant history.
And not just those really shitty movies that came out and are still coming out more than likely.
That too. There is a location in the forest called Hangmans Hill. On a slip road at High Beach, a very strange phenomenon happens. If you park your car at the bottom of the hill at night, turn the engine and the power off, the car can be seen to roll slowly uphill. The local legend has it that the car is being pulled towards an ancient tree by a hangman's noose. The tree itself is believed to be the site of a hanging, either of an innocent man who was mistakenly convicted or of 3 witches. But, of course, there is a scientific explanation behind this. It's actually a magnetic or a gravity hill. It's an optical illusion. Due to the layout of the surrounding area, it tricks the brain into thinking it's going uphill rather than downhill.
I actually have one of those around here, around where I live.
Although there is an logical answer to this, many who have tried it found the atmosphere unnerving and sinister and are convinced that they are walking uphill. Supernatural or geological? Science or the paranormal?
I've actually seen those gravity hills in action myself, and yeah, it's science. But for the podcast, like, ooh, spooky.
But this location could actually be very sinister.
How so?
Or maybe it's just the knowledge that something sinister did happen there. It messes with your mind. You know how if you take pictures in a supposedly haunted location, your mind might think they actually caught something when really it's just a matrix within the photo.
Right.
Now, we did just talk about the Hoiabaciu Forest.
Correct.
This forest actually has a location called the Suicide Pool. Now, no one really knows. It's a pool in the forest, and it's home to an unearthly presence. Several, actually, some very miserable and others evil. But the location of the pool was never revealed, but the belief its existence remained ingrained in local folklore. One story goes that about 300 years ago, a young couple, they got in a dangerous and forbidden relationship.
Right.
They met secretly at a beautiful pool. The girl's father actually found out about it, and in a fit of rage, he killed her at the pool. And once the boy heard of his lover's murder, he committed suicide at the same spot. And apparently after that, no birds were heard there, no animals were ever seen there, and the water became dark. People with no inclination committed suicide at the pool, including a woman in 1887 and a young servant, Emma Morgan, who killed both herself and her child. In 1959, a competition was held in the magazine Essex Countryside to find the exact whereabouts of the pool. One writer claimed to know its location of the pool, but refused to reveal the details.
Asshole.
She wrote that the place was evil beyond measure.
Lady
The
asshole.
suicide pool is deep in the heart of the forest, far away from any road. It's dank, evil, and malignant, with an atmosphere unpleasant beyond description. It doubts if the sunshine ever penetrates through the surrounding trees. If it did, it would never lighten the black waters. And actually, in 2012, as a tribute to the Olympics, the folk singer Ruaridid,
Right.
Uruaidh Anderson, composed a series of songs from the Howling Sea, based on specific legends from the London boroughs hosting the games. His ballad, "The Call of Her Song," was inspired by the legend of the Epping Forest suicide pool and can be heard on YouTube, which we will actually link in the description. And despite its dark history, the forest itself can rival anywhere for beauty. This is best summed up by the poet John Clare, who was treated at Dr. Matthew Allen's private asylum in High Beach for severe depression in the late 1830s, which we'll actually discuss this in another episode. Asylums back then were not the best place to be.
No, they weren't.
Mental illness was a stigma, and it was taboo. So, they just threw them in a building and locked the door.
Yep.
Let them rot in their own feces.
Yep.
Anyway, in a letter to his wife from John Clare, he remarked that he considered the countryside the finest he had ever seen. While a patient, he wrote a number of poems, including A Walk in the Forest, which I will recite right now. I love the forest and its airy bounds, where friendly Campbell takes his daily rounds. I love the breakneck hills that headlong go, and leave me high in half the world below. I love to see the beach hill mounting high, the brook without a bridge and nearly dry. There's Bucket Hill, a place of firs and clouds, which evening in a golden blaze enshrouds. Oh, I did forget to mention my sources. My sources for the Hoiabaciu was the Hoiabaciuforest.com.
Right.
And my source for the Epping Forest is the hauntedpalaceblog.wordpress.com, which we will link both of those in the description as well.
We will link all sources on the description below, either on YouTube or SoundCloud. So, that's it for Haunted Forest, huh?
Oh, we actually, do not forget, I have a special shout out.
Okay.
To one more forest.
Oh, right.
You know how we had no American forests.
Right.
Well, this is the Freetown State Forest in southeastern Massachusetts. Oh, yeah. Freetown was purchased in 1659 from the Wampanoag tribe and became a town in 1683. It is part of what paranormal investigators call the Bridgewater Triangle. Anyway, this deal that happened, it didn't come without consequence. The land that the Americans were buying from the Native Americans, the Native Americans believed the land to be highly sacred, and they might have not backed the deal. And because of what happened, it is believed the forest was cursed due to it. On top of the several Indian burial grounds that, litter it.
Right.
The forest has also been the location of several murders, crimes, and satanic rituals. Actually, the most famous case involving this forest revolved around a local pimp and the killing of several local prostitutes. In the late 70s and early 80s, Carl Drew ran his business out of Fall River, and he was implicated in the murder of at least 3 women under him. One of the victims was dumped in the forest, and the initial investigation pointed to more cult activity. Several witnesses stepped forward saying Drew is the leader of a satanic cult and that the killings had been part of his need for human sacrifice. And actually, what he had done, he would bring these girls to the forest. He'd sacrifice them, he'd behead them, and then play with their heads, like kick them around like a soccer ball.
Yikes.
And then after he was done, he would rape the corpse.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this guy was fucked up.
Jesus Christ.
And it has its other,
Yeah, but what could top that? Jeez.
It has its other stuff that happens.
Right.
UFO sightings, Bigfoot ghosts, military activities, animal mutilations, and pug wedgies. They're troll-like creatures. It's a very paranormal site.
Huh. So the USA has creatures that aren't Donald Trump. Ooh.
Oh. No, you're confusing Donald Trump for a very overgrown Oompa Loompa.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Oompa Loompas are humans too. We have to acknowledge that. Sorry
Oompa Loompa
about
lives matter.
Sorry about my fascism. Oompa Loompa lives matter. All right, so that's our episode for Haunted Forests, everybody. I hope you liked it. This is considered the pilot episode, so it will get better as it goes on. I promise.
Oh yeah.
Anything my co-host Umbry that you would like to say? Any shout-outs, any plugs?
Well, I feel like it's been a very good first episode. I hope to do more. I am looking forward to do more.
Oh, we're gonna
and
do
if you
more.
guys have any requests on future episodes that we should do, please leave them in the comments. We will also be setting up a Facebook page here sometime in the near future. So once we get that set up, we'll set up a link in the next video we post so you guys can follow it. It will announce future episodes. You guys can message us and, make requests for future episodes.
Oh yeah, feel free to interact with us. We will
really
respond.
Anything else that I can say is stay spooked.
Ooh, spooky. I only got one shout out. This is a shout out to the skeleton that's waiting inside of your body to come out as soon as you die. I know you're there, skeleton. Fuck you.
We're drafting for the skeleton war.
Yep.